Okay, here is lesson 7-3. Our mental math today is comparing fractions. So we are comparing 1/2 and 1/4. So if you look at these two fractions, you notice something about them. They both have the same numerator. They have 1 as a numerator. So the only thing we have to think about is which pieces are larger, halves or fourths. Well, if you cut it into 2 pieces, they're going to be larger than if you cut them into 4. So 1/2 is greater than 1/4. Same thing with this one. The numerators are the same, 2/3 and 2/5. So which denominator would be larger pieces? If you only have 3 pieces, those are going to be bigger pieces than if you are cutting that into fifths. So 2/3 would be larger than 2/5. And then for this one, the numerators are not the same, the denominators are not the same. So we could look at a benchmark. We could compare them to a half. So if you look at the two fractions, half of 6 is 3, so this one is exactly 1/2. And half of 10 is 5, so this is just a little less than half. So 3/6 would be greater than 4/10. All right, our math message for today, I changed it. It says, Jen uses 1/3 cup of milk to make a smoothie. If she makes 2 smoothies, how much milk will she need? So pause the video and figure out the answer to that question. Okay, so again, we could use our fraction pieces if we wanted to show this. So we're going to use 1/3 cup of milk, and she's doing 2 smoothies. So each one of these is a third. You could put them together if you wanted to show what it looks like together. Okay, so we have our 1/3 and 1/3. You could write it as an addition equation. So you could write 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3. Now, how would we write that as a multiplication equation? So if we look at our picture, we have 2 pieces. Okay, so we have 2, and we have groups of, which is multiplication. And what size is our group? Well, they're each 1/3. So our multiplication equation would be 2 times 1/3. And that is also equal to 2/3. So when we look at multiplying a whole number times a fraction, we can think of it as like skip counting. So if you were going to do 3 times 3, then you would skip count. Okay, that's one way that you could do it. We would do 3, 6, 9. So 3 times 3 would equal 9. Same thing with skip counting when you're using fractions. 1/3, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. Okay, so 3 times 1/3 would be 3/3. Now, if you look at the problem, 3 times 1/3 equals 3/3. And I'm going to write it out over here with the fraction bar going straight across. So I think it's a little bit easier to show it here. So when we multiply a whole number times a fraction, we take the whole number, which is 3, and we multiply that times the numerator. So 3 times 1 is 3, and that becomes our new numerator. So 3 times 1 is 3. And then the denominator stays the same. We're still working with thirds. The thirds have not changed any. So 3 times 1/3 is equal to 3/3, or we know that 3/3 is also equal to 1 whole, okay? So again, you take the whole number times the numerator. That becomes your new numerator in your answer. And then your denominator is still thirds. We did not change anything as far as our thirds are concerned. Okay, so if we were going to do 3 times 1/4, using this rule that we learned, we take our whole number times our numerator. So that would be 3 times 1, and 3 times 1 is 3. And then what would our denominator be? Denominator would still be fourths, because remember, we do not change the fourths. Think about it as counting, skip counting by fourths. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. If you count by 1/4 3 times. Okay. Really wish I could figure out how to get that to go back to the way it was. Sorry, just a second, let me clear all that. I'm going to open the rest of these up before I do them, and that way I won't have to worry about that. Okay, so 7 times 1/8. So again, we take our whole number times our numerator. So 7 times 1 is 7. And our denominator would be 8. The eighths don't change. 9 times 1/6, we take our whole number times our numerator. So 9 times 1 would equal 9. And what's our denominator? Sixths this time. So 9/6. 9/6 is more than a whole. So if you wanted to change this, you could think about 9/6 is equal to, if we decompose it, it's equal to 6/6 plus 3/6 is the same as 9/6. 6/6 is the same as a whole. Oops. So 6/6 is equal to a whole. 3/6 would be the same as a half. So you could put 1 and 1/2 also. So 9/6 or 1 1/2. 5 times 1/2, we take our whole number times our numerator, which would be 5. And then our denominator is 2. And again, you could change this one also. So 5/2 is the same as, I'm going to break it into wholes. So 2/2 would be 1 whole. 2/2 again would be another whole. So far I have 4/2. I have 1/2 left to equal 5/2. So I made 1 whole, 2 wholes, and a half. So that's equal to 2 1/2. Okay? All right, so if we have this problem right here, if Kate wants to give a snack consisting of half of an orange to each of the 6 girls in her scout troop, how many oranges does she need? So what problem would we write to figure out that problem? We would write, we'd have 6 groups of, which is times, and they're each getting half of an orange. So we would take our whole number times our numerator, which would be 6 times 1 is 6, and our denominator would be 2. So if we have 6 halves, 2 halves would make 1 whole, 4 halves would make 2 wholes, 6 halves would make 3 wholes. So that's also equal to 3. But in 4th grade, it's okay to have 6 halves. You do not have to change it so it's the smallest. You don't have to simplify it, is what it's called when you get a little bit older. Sydney has 4 yards of rope. It takes 1/2 yard of rope to tie a large garbage bag. How many garbage bags can she tie? Okay, so this one is a little bit different because she's got, I'm going to draw a picture here. She's got 4 yards of rope, and I'm going to break it. Okay, so here's 1 yard, 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards. Okay, so it takes half of a yard to do a garbage bag. So here's 1 garbage bag. Here's 2 garbage bags. We split this one. Here's 3 garbage bags. 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8. Okay, so For every yard, she can do 2 of them. So she'd actually be able to tie 8 garbage bags with her 4 yards of rope. Okay, we're going to take a look at the home link, and I'm not going to have you do the whole home link, but if you want to, you can. But I'm just going to kind of go over some of it. So number 1, you're supposed to write a multiplication equation to show the picture, to show what the picture shows. So first of all, we have to figure out how many groups there are. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. And then what size is each group? Well, what size is the fraction piece? So I can see it's cut into fifths, and there's 1 of them shaded. So the size is 1/5. So it's 4 groups of 1/5 for my equation. And then what's the 4th multiple of 1/5? So if I count by 1/5, 4 times 1/5, 2/5, what would I get for my answer? Okay. So you can either choose to do number 1 or number 2. You don't have to do both of those. Number 3, Dimitri fixed a snack for 5 friends. Each friend got 1/2 of an avocado. How many avocados did Dimitri use? So again, you're going to write the multiplication equation and then the answer, how many avocados? Juanita made 3 protein shakes. Altogether, she used 1 cup of protein powder to make them. Each had the same amount. How many cups of protein powder are in each shake? So this one you're going to have to think about a little bit. She's got 3 shakes, and altogether she used 1 cup of protein powder. So what is in each one? Okay, and then we have fraction problems down at the bottom, 2 addition and 2 subtraction. So thanks for watching. This was a short lesson, so we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.